I've been fortunate enough to actually be able to win multiple offers and for my buyers. And a lot of time, again, it comes back to the financing. So my lender that I work with, I've worked with a lot of different lenders, and I think every agent has to have that relationship with their own lender.
Work with?
I work with Chris Bell and Certified Home Loans.
Okay.
Certified Home Loans has, several offices, but he's just been my right-hand man. One of the hardest working people I know. I mean, 11 o'clock at night, I got a question. Even yesterday, I call him like, hey, can you just run through this VA loan thing with me real quick? Because I wanted to make sure I knew all the specifics for an hour. He's talking to me. It's 9 o'clock at night. Just go through the percentage with me one more time. And he's just, so anyway, it's having a real partner who, for example, I send an offer, I CC my lender on that offer to the listing agent, and he will follow up with that listing agent within a minute. And it's not one of those blanket template, who we are, we're certified home loans, automated emails. No, it's a personal phone call or a personal email specifically talking about that borrower. Not that I do a great job and I close deals all day long. It's, no, I have vetted out this buyer. He's a AAA, borrower. He is, I have everything that I need from him. He is good to go, ready to rock. We could close in 30 days or less. So that has been super helpful, having my lender communicating with the listing agent. And he stays in touch with them throughout the whole process too. Even as a listing agent, I reach out to that buyer's lender often because I want to make sure things are on track. I don't step on toes, but if I know loan commitment is coming up and I haven't heard from an update, then I'm calling that lender and I'm saying, do you have everything? Are we good to go? Or are you getting the CD out? Are we clear to close? And so having a lender who's proactive, I think is huge in putting a good feel in the listing agent's mind. Mm-hmm. So that's a big part of it. Structuring it, again, asking what the seller wants, what's ideal for the seller in terms of the terms and the timeline. And then, you got to go in strong. You got to price it well. For a buyer who's financing, they're protected because they're going to have an appraisal. So even if you go over asking price, you have that appraisal to protect you. So the lender's not going to loan you over, that over market value.
So it's always contingent on loan approval.
It's always contingent on loan approval. And you don't even have to add the appraisal addendum because that's part of loan commitment. That's loan approval right there. So you have to have your loan approval. You have to have it appraised. And then the other part that I've often used is an escalation clause. I think some agents do this regularly who are, they understand the market and getting an accepted offer. But an escalation clause, assuming that the buyer allows that, it allows you to beat out any other offer that's on the table by X dollars. So oftentimes I've written it up where it's my buyer will pay up to $1,000 over your highest and best offer with proof. So I have to see it in writing that you have a legit offer, up to a certain dollar amount. So
smart.
Yeah, and it's worked multiple times, and it's great. So I've used that, but it's really just a matter of getting that financing piece and having the relationship with the other agent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I think I kind of took you off your stories of.
I don't know.
Sorry, I took you off of.
It's just been a good conversation.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so this is my buyer that I'm looking.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young family. Just had another kid. I think he literally due today or yesterday or something.
Oh, exciting.
So as soon as that happens, he's ready to look.
Yeah.
That's just sort of what they're waiting for.
Yeah.
He definitely he's looking to save as much cash as possible up front. So he's looking for, FHA or something that's low down. But he's also looking to save on closing costs somehow. Yeah. How do you approach that, and what is your best strategy for doing that for new home buyers specifically who are definitely new and are we only have so much in our savings account, that kind of thing?
So I mean, really the first step is connecting them with a lender, but what they can do, so what's cool, based on their debt to income ratio, a lot of the first time home buyers automatically think, I have to go FHA because I only want to put down 3.5%, or I want to put down like the lowest amount I possibly can because I don't have a lot of cash to bring to the table. But there's so many different ways to structure a loan where, first of all, depending on your debt to income ratio, you can still do a conventional loan with like 5% down.
I think that's what we did with our condo.
Yeah, right? So condos are a little different because you have to go through the condo review process and stuff. So it's a little different. But yes, like you can still, and for the most part, conventional financing would typically be considered stronger than FHA. So yeah, for a seller to see an offer with conventional, even if it's only 5% down, if that buyer's debt to income ratio and their finances can support that, great. If they're concerned about the closing cost, a lot of times I've had clients buy homes and getting seller credit, or seller concessions, right? So say you are buying, say a house is listed for $300,000, and that borrower can only come to the table with, say, $5,000 or, I don't know, $10,000 down payment. Well, they can ask for seller concessions back from the seller, which is basically cash towards their closing cost. So if a borrower has to bring, say, $15,000 to closing at the closing table, they have to come out of pocket $15,000, and they only have $5,000. Well, hey, Mr. Seller, I will pay you over asking price. The house is $300,000. I will give you $310,000, but I need that $10,000 back at closing. Mm-hmm. For the seller, a lot of times that works for them because they're netting the same amount of money. Okay. For the borrower, it's huge because that allows them. They need that cash. Otherwise, they'd have to, I don't know, borrow it from somewhere and get it gifted from a family member or whatever, and that could make or break whether or not they can buy a house, is that seller concession. The trick that ends up happening a lot of times is the appraisal. So the house has to appraise for the purchase price. So if the buyer is offering over asking price in order to get that seller concession back and it doesn't appraise, then you got to renegotiate the whole deal. So that could be a little tricky sometimes, but a lot of times it works well for both parties. You just got to know the comps pretty well and make sure that the house will appraise for that price so that the seller doesn't have to eat the cost of the purchase and the concession.